Hi and welcome. Martina here with my fourth and last video as the November guest at Wow Embossing Powder. Today I'd like to create a winter scene, and for that I'm using the Alexandra Renke forest cabin die, and I've already pre-cut all the pieces from the die and made like a little arrangement in the way I'd like to use the pieces. I knew that I'd like to use the brand new White Puff Twinkle powder and was just, deciding which colors I'd like to use along that powder. And you see me using my swatches to make the decisions which color I'd like to use for the house, for the trees, and for the birds, because I had Alexandra Renke Wow powders in mind and some of the new Catherine Pooler powders. And the difference between them is that the Catherine Pooler powders have the same kind of sprinkle or sparkle in it as the White Puff Twinkle has. And the Renke ones have these nice white speckles, which coordinate really well with the snow theme. So I had a hard time to decide, but I think it's a great tip to just take your powders and create swatches from each and every powder you own. And like this, you can just make the decisions the way I did just now. Well, for the house, I decided to go with Manuela's Honey, which is a nice yellow with these white speckles. And it could give the imagination that it's still a bit snowing and the snow comes down in front of the house. And that's why I decided to take that one. The trees are embossed with the Catherine Pooler Deck the Halls powder, which is a nice foresty and also Christmassy green powder with a really amazing sparkle in it. And as I said before, I think the sparkle of the Deck the Halls matches really well with the sparkle of the White Puff Twinkle. And I just love these details when everything coordinates well and has some kind of a common thread going through the whole creation. For my little birdies and the heart, I decided to use Diana's Love, which is a really nice true red. And I think the story I'm telling with my card could tell that these are the Christmas cardinals just sitting in the trees. And last but not least, I am covering the snow cover of the roof with the White Puff Twinkle embossing powder. And after that's been done, I'm ready to heat set. Heat setting of small and tiny pieces like these are is always quite challenging to me, since I'd like to work fast and in one go, and these tiny pieces just need to be held with a tweezers, and you better work with the lower speed of the dual heat gun just to make sure that you won't blow your tiny bits and pieces around as I am doing now. You'll see it in a second. You can imagine that I did a bad job on the trees and the cardinals, and I just reapplied the embossing powder off camera and added a second layer of the embossing powder, heat set it, and I'm good to go. And now I have everything ready to build my scene. I had the idea of two soft green hills in the front where I just can put my colored die cuts in between and create that little nice winter cabin in the forest scene. For that reason, I'm coloring my two hills with bundled sage, distress oxide, and I'm just applying a bigger amount of color to the back piece that will help to create that depth on the card I'm aiming for. Recently, I watched Marion on Hochanda TV showcasing the new embossing powders, and she used a liquid glue technique with the white puff Twinkle, which I really, really loved. And I thought it would be a nice idea to recreate that effect for my heels to give them just a little snow on the top. And I made the mistake to use just the glue I had handy. And I think that was a really, really bad choice because it was too liquid. It took a really, really long time to dry. And I think the embossed powder doesn't bond really well to the glue. So I think I have to ask Marion which glue she used to be able to recreate that wonderful effect. But I started this card and I will finish it. As I mentioned before, I like common threads when it comes to crafting, and also a kind of common thread to me is using the same cardstock for the whole project. So from card base to die cut pieces, I try to use the same cardstock. Like this, I know everything just matches really, really well. But now back to the card. I'm speeding the process up because it's nothing else but gluing everything down. My bigger pieces, like this time the hills, are glued down with double-sided adhesive tape, and the smaller pieces with a liquid glue. I try to keep the double-sided adhesive tape off of the edge of the hills. Like this, I'm able to put my pieces behind the hills and help to generate this idea and vision of a scene with some depth on the card. When I finished my arrangement, I had the feeling that the sky was too big of a white space, and I tried some stamps and was thinking about maybe applying some stamped stars or something like that. And I didn't like these ideas at all and decided to glue some white plastic stars down there, some kind of sequins. And for that, I'm just using my pickup pen and the glue and sticking the stars randomly down. And I totally love the outcome of the card. And that's it for today. I really hope you liked my process. I hope you liked my struggle, try and error, and especially hope that you are inspired and encouraged to create your own Christmas cards so that you're able to send some hugs from the distance to your beloved ones. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.